Very occasionally, a model kit comes along and it doesn't matter what your brain says about where you're going to put it and can you afford it. You just know you absolutely have to have it no matter what. And you'll move heaven and earth to get to it. Well, today's first impressions is one of those kits for me. Welcome to Model Kit Stuff. Hello, welcome to Model Kit Stuff. It's First Impressions Day, and yes, we're looking at this, His Britannic Majesty's 44 gun frigate, Indefatigable in 1:64 scale of 1794. Right, in a moment I'm going to ask you to pause the video, go away, make yourself a bacon butty, some popcorn, whatever your comfort food is, and a tot of rum, because this video is not going to be a short one. Right, you can pause now, see you in a mo. Right, now you're ready, let's get on with the show, shall we? So, yes, this is a Vanguard Models production, and what you're seeing in front of you is the instruction manual to build her just this far. Just all the hull, basically, and that. Yep, and then we have some plans, and it's that many plans. So what we're going to do, if you've never seen one of my first impressions before, it is genuinely a deep dive into what you get in the box and what I think of it, drawing on my experience of having 47 years of modelling experience and nearly 20 years of building wooden model ship kits, which might sound like a lot, but actually in that time I've not built a huge number of wooden kits, partly because they're quite time consuming, but I do have quite a few wooden kits, and it's easy for me to compare this to some of the other leading brands as we go through it. So this currently retails, as I record this, which is the 8th of September 2024, for just a little over £1,300. And my next most expensive kit before this was about £998, and that was the Billingsboat's HMS Warrior. So it'll be interesting when we get to the end of this and we round up to just think about what we get for our money compared to that model and other brands. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go through the instruction manual. We'll skip through it in places and just give you a feel for it. Otherwise, we'll be here for a week. Then we'll very quickly look at the plans to give you an idea of the quantity, quality, and how they work. Then we'll go through all of the parts and materials so that you get a good feel for the whole kit. Now, if there's bits you don't want to see, just skip past, because I know there's other people that will want to see them. So we will do this video to cover off everyone's needs, and you can just skip to the bits you're interested in seeing. So let's get going. So on the front here, we have Sir Edward Pellew, Lord Exmouth. It's a painting of him when he was in command of Indefatigable. Now, you might have heard of that name if you've ever watched the Hornblower TV series or read any of the C.S. Foster Hornblower books. It centres very much on this ship, the Indefatigable. and we'll be coming back to Hornblower as we go through the kit. But she is not a fictional ship, she's an actual ship that the books talk about. So the build manual is full colour, ring bound, and made from really thick quality materials. The plans also good quality clear material, and it all comes in a big box. I'll show you an image of it now. It's too big to put on camera. Inside, everything is wrapped with copious amounts of bubble wrap, and then it comes in a double corrugated shipper. So it is very, very well packaged, and we'll show you some of the other packaging as we go through. So as we open this up, we start with some history and a lovely piece of artwork. So it tells you all about the ship, and you get this. Oh, I mean, you could frame that, couldn't you? It's just stunning picture. So it tells you about the picture there. Then we carry on with a really detailed history, which gets you to page 6. And on page 6, we've got the end of the history, a comment about her place in fiction, references used, and then some images of the build slip where Indefatigable was built. So, and a little bit about that. So, a really immersive experience right from the start. Right, then we move on to some general information, starting with notes on building our kit. And I'm going to just read you the first paragraph because it outlines what they're trying to do with this kit. It says, the model kit is designed to be as accurate as possible for a commercial kit in both scale and detail, and has been developed with the advanced modeler in mind. We cannot advocate such a build for anyone who is only on a learning journey or never built a ship before. By advanced, we mean for modelers who have built numerous other ships, boats, and mastered many of those skills required to succeed with a ship kit of this complexity. HMS Indefatigable has been designed to be as intuitive and absorbing as a model kit can be. At all stages of construction. An eye for detail is required at all stages, despite us planning the sequences to be as logical as it can be. So, basically, what they're saying to you is, don't buy this because you like the look of it and you can afford it, and then try it as your first build, because you'll never finish it. You just won't. And that is such a good comment, because so many people I know start out by buying a model kit, a wooden model kit that's got lots of bling on it, and it's really complex, and they never build another model ship again. So you do have to pace yourself, and if you watch the channel, we're going to be doing a complete beginner's build soon anyway. Okay, then we've got a recommended tools list. Then we've got paints and stains and adhesives. Then we've got a bit of health and safety. And then it says, important, HMS Indefatigable is a master level kit, and even though we need to assume that a modeler's skill will match this, we must reiterate that you should read the text that accompanies each photo. Yeah. Okay, then we've got some recommended tools. Now, it's saying that you need to be basically a master at building ship models to even attempt it. So most people would already have these, but some of these you can buy from the Vanguard shop. So sort of their standard thing that they put in. And that carries on over to the next page where they're talking about paints, glues, tools, and so on. So, it's a little bit difficult to get this all on camera, but what we've got is we start with the build slip, then we go through the normal process of building up the bulkheads. So you'll have a frame there, and then you build them all up. It looks like it's a single piece, and quite often they're at this size, they're sort of two, and they're held together. But no, one. So I actually prefer that, less margin for error. And then we've got some strengthening pieces, and they get pegged in. And then we continue doing that, building up. It's really detailed, because at this stage they're still showing you how to peg it in and construct it. I mean, it is literally part by part steps. So really nicely done. Then we've got false decks going in. It shows us areas that we need to plank. There is an option in this kit to actually buy planked, laser cut plank decks, but the kit as it comes asks you to do the planking as you normally would. Shows you how to build up things like the gratings, the stairs, and just look at how detailed that looks as well. Then we're putting in strengthening parts. Then we've got the bow formers going in. And then we're looking at stern. So we've got stern formers going in. So that's going to give you the shape for the planking of the transom and so on. Then we've got some ribs going in. Those are going to help with the location of the gun port patterns, I have no doubt, you can see. Then we've got a main gun deck section going in. So you can see they're showing you how to do that. Yeah, so what they've done is they've put tape underneath to make it hinged so that you can plop it in. So you know what, that's a good idea. I've never thought about doing that before. It's always something to learn, isn't there? So more parts, basically building up the shape of the model. I'm sorry I'm skipping through this a little bit, but there's a lot to go through. And basically, once you've got all the frames and things in, before you start sanding and shaping, you've got something that looks like that. So everything you need. Now, some modelers will want to fill the gaps with balsa wood and what have you to help with the planking. Others won't. It's all personal preference, but yeah, we've got a really nice frame system there, including beams and bits and pieces, and it's so clear. You've got an image, you've got a step number, and you've got a little bit of commentary for each one. So really could not be clearer. And of course you've got plans that support all this. And then it says we've included 2 optional pieces which can be used to block off the inner bulwark framing at the bow area. These are optional as they really won't be seen. Okay, so you've got an option, but you're not going to be seen, which is, I guess, why it's an option. But it means you need to do a little bit of forming and putting them in. Right, so let's just skip past this. Okay, then we're adding on the gun port patterns and starting the planking. They do take you through the planking in detail, which is really nice. And they're talking about tools there and showing you step by step what they're doing, where they're sanding, what it should look like sanded, fitting the stern gallery there, and we can see this little compass motif on there. This is going to form the inside of the gallery, which you will be able to view, and we'll have some other bits and pieces in which you will see as we get to it. Okay, then we've got the keel going in, and the prow and so on, and then we're adding that. Yeah, okay, so that gets us you to this stage here, and that's where we're starting the second planking. And that's what it looks like when she's second planked. We've painted the interior in the reds. We've painted the inside of the all the inside of the gun ports need to be painted red also. Then we've got some planking going on, and they're using the same method that I prefer. There's several methods of doing the caulking. Some people use black cartridge paper, which I've tried and is messy and just didn't work for me. Other people like to put black thread down in between. So there's all different ways of doing it, but that is my preferred method, and they seem to do that, so that's great. Right, okay, then we're adding dead eyes for rigging the cannons at that point. And then we're starting to put some of the deck fittings in place. So you can see that they've been laser cut, relief laser etched. So these are, you know, you're not having to take a strip of wood and drill the holes and then shape it, and each one looks slightly different. So you are getting a real bit of accuracy here. Then we've got more gratings, more ladders. We can see what they look like painted up. With our cannonball holes. Then we're starting to build up, paint up some of the items, I should say, and then we start building up the trucks, the gun carriages for the cannons. They look very nice, don't they? Then we've got a capstan being built up. Pumps being made, and then we've got this, which is lovely. It's a 3D printed ship's stove with photo etch details. I mean, wow, just lovely. And they talk about painting it, weathering it. You can see they've done some dry brushing on it, and then you've got a picture of what that looks like when it's done. I don't know whether we get that figure included or you have to buy it extra, but certainly looks good with a figure, and you will be able to see that when the model is built. You'll see why later on, but really nicely detailed, rather than the sort of chunky cast metal ones which have no detail on them but just the basic shape. You've got the handle, you've got the cap and the adjusting mechanism for it, and it's just stunning. So that's what we look like now with the stove in place, and then we can move on and start building up the next level. So we've got deck beams going in there, which have got all their nice posts holding them up, all painted up again, and then we're starting to add some details onto that woodwork. It gets a bit more decorative from this stage on. So you can see we've done some work on this shaped beam here. So we keep going through that. I'm just going to skip that through. Shows you putting upper decks on using some weights and clamps to hold it all flush, and then we're starting to work on sorting out the posts there and sanding them down flush with the deck, and then we start on the stern gallery. So we've got a floor there, We will have a look at that now. It says laser engraved cabin floor section, and you can see we're building up the cupboard that compass part sits on. So I haven't been reading this as we go, so I'm guessing it's put in place to keep things square, and then we take it back out again. Okay, then we're building up all the sort of interior panels on that, and you can see them going in with floor sections, painting them up. So yeah, very nice. And we've got acetate windows going in, and then the frames, I mean, lovely, and brass hinges. I mean, just a thing of beauty, isn't it? So you can see there we've got other cabins as well. So we've not just got the main cabin, we've got other cabins as well, which is really nice. And then you can see that with their guns in place. Now, often these guns weren't in place while the cabin was in use, and then they'd have a sort of action station, and they'd be to quarters, and the cannons would be rigged up at that stage, and all the furniture stowed away. So if you've ever seen Master and Commander, you'll have seen that them do that. So for me, you've got an option here. Do you want the cannons in and them rigged up, or are you going to want to put the furniture in? So if you see here, we have furniture, we've got tables, we've got maps. I mean, it looks really, really nice, but all of that would have been stowed away, moved to one side, put somewhere else, whatever they're going to do, if the carronades were going to be rigged up. Because you know what, they're quite big beasts, so no one's in here doing officer stuff when you're at action stations. So you could do it that way and show both. I personally will probably put the furniture in and not the carronades. Yeah, it's all personal preference. That's the great thing of modelling, isn't it? So then we've got beams going in above that, but don't worry, we're not going to cover it all up, because we've got some openings left in the deck, planking there, so that you can see down into those cabins. Now, the kit does come with some figures. I think we might see those towards the end of the instructions. If not, we'll definitely show you them as we go through the parts. So you've got figures that you can put in there, which will really look nice. And Vanguard Models does an extra officers at table set as well, so you can further enhance this if you wish. Then we're doing the gallery sides, and we're starting to focus on the rear gallery outwardly. So you can see that being built up with some of the decorative stuff going on. A lot of the laser cutting is to show you the position of other parts that are going to go on, and that's really nice, because that can be an issue when you're traditionally building a boat and you're cutting all of this out of plank or wood stock. So more decking work going on, and then we're starting on there's a lot of masking going on, because we're starting to clean up the gun port openings. We're starting to put some of the mouldings on. And some of them are laser cut, so that's really nice. That means you're not having to shape it yourself and relying on your carving skills. You can just make sure you've got it aligned with the outlines that are laser cut in, and place it. So that's really lovely. Just whipping through this now, because we're doing a lot of that. Building up the assembly at the bow there. So we've got all of these parts, which they look like they're MDF, yes, MDF sheet. So we're placing all those parts. I'm guessing they get faced up so that you see the mouldings on them. But we will see. And then we're at a point where we're painting, and you can see they've done all the masking, painted in yellow, and then you're going back and painting in the black. So, and they talk about why they paint the whole thing in yellow. I've not read it, but I know that there's some commentary about it. They're probably going to say it's for identifying defects and that sort of thing. So, yeah, there we go, all painted up, ready for fitting out. And she looks great at this stage, doesn't she? Then we move on to coppering. Now, at the time this was produced, there was a shortage of copper in the world, and so a copper tape option was done. I do know that there is going to be an optional copper tile pack for Indefatigable at some point, because it's taken a couple of years for the world to catch up with itself in the way of copper production. So copper tape is included in the kit, and it shows you how to go around cutting those and making those up. So you have got everything you need to do the coppering of the hull, but the hull, the instructions at the back, because I have been through the part list on this, will refer to two different part codes for the copper, which both come out of the copper tape. So in this version of the kit, you're getting copper tape. Whether tiles will become part of the kit in the future, I don't know, but there's certainly going to be an option to buy, is my understanding from Chris. So, right, we carry on. We're building up the rudder, which again is nicely detailed and so rare in wooden model ships. We've got decals which give us the depth markers, so I really like that. Then we're doing the cat heads, painting them up separately before we add them on, and then we're starting to work with these bow frames, and you can see we've got lovely laser relief mouldings to go on there. So that all looks nice, and when painted up is all good. And you can see that close up. Then we're moving on. We've got the, putting the gratings on, the toilets there, and then we've got the 3D printed resin figurehead. Now they do say in here possibly not to be fitted at this stage and to be fitted at the end, but maybe a nice point to paint it. And you've got nice clear images of it there. Then we're back to the stern gallery, and I need to show you this because it's a lovely way of doing it. I've not seen it done like this before. Usually you end up just painting that grey to simulate lead. What we've got here is we've got laser cut roof shingles, which is like black card is the best way I can describe it. I'm not sure what the actual material is, and you can see that they go on in layers, so they overlay, and that is stunning. Now, whether you want to paint them black or whether you want to do them a lead grey is up to you. I generally do them lead grey because that's how I see them on HMS Victory, so assume that's what it was like. So I might need to do some research on that, but I guess it was quite easy for them to paint them, but it's lead, so they didn't. Quite often on these ships you find that the wood is capped with either lead or copper to protect the grain from water ingress. So that's always an option as well. We've got this lovely laser, when you see the part it's amazing, laser cut decoration for the stern, and then we have a decal for the back that says Indefatigable. So yeah, you need to get this space as smooth as possible before you put it on, so some form of clear coat, glossy clear coat, get that on to get that to settle as flat as possible, and then gloss back over it again, or you can mat it down at that point, whatever you need to do, seal that in. Then we've got the lanterns being built up, which look lovely. I don't see there's candles in, but you could fabricate a candle out of some plastic rod and put some candles in. I've done them before with a bit of white plastic rod for the candle, drill a little hole in, stick a little bit of wire in the top, paint that black, you've got a candle with a wick. So yeah, I mean, something to think about. What would for in there if you want to just enhance it a little bit. But I mean, as it is, it looks amazing, doesn't it? Then we're starting to do some of the fittings, so showing you how to space things out, create the ladders. It's all good. Right, okay, so this is really nice. I like this. What we've got is two thicknesses. We're sandwiching two pieces of material together so that you get this lip. You can see it there, which normally you don't get. It's just ignored. So I really like that attention to detail and the thought process about how you achieve that without having to shape it yourself. There will be some rounding of the parts, no doubt, to make them look a little bit more authentic. So yeah, it says round the outer edges of the inner core parts. Yeah, and it looks stunning when it's on. So you can see what they look like when added there, and then you can see them with the dead eyes on, and it looks like we've got photo etched metal clasps for the dead eyes, which is nice. Then we've got more deck fittings going on, railings and bits and pieces, building those up, which all looks good. There's no fire buckets, I notice. I'm guessing there would have been fire buckets. Certainly on Victory you see them slung across this point here, big row of fire buckets. So I'm guessing there would have been some somewhere. I don't know anyone that actually makes fire buckets for wooden kits, which is a real shame. But we might at this scale be able to find some plastic ones or something like that, and perhaps have to buy several sets of oil drums with buckets to get some buckets, because I would really like some fire buckets along there with the with decals for each one, with the royal markings on it, as they should have, and you can put some little wire hooks or etch hooks in there, put the buckets on. I think that'd look lovely. Now I don't know that there was fire buckets there, I'm just saying there would be fire buckets somewhere on this ship, and it would be nice if we could do that. So Chris, if you're watching, there's an idea for your 3D printing. Okay, so then we're putting more ladders in. These look nice as well. They're already pre-shaped, but a little bit of sanding to round them off. Then we're building flag lockers, which look really lovely. And then we've got skylights. There's a little bit of a trade-off here. Because we've got these prefabricated, you've got these little cutouts where the parts sort of meet together, which depends on your view, could detract from them a little bit. If you're painting them, it's not an issue because you can always fill any gaps, but these are left unpainted, it appears, so you get that nice you get all that nice shape and what have you. But the little cutout bit just detracts a little bit. I'd personally prefer it to be a single slab that went on the top, and rather than having a location point at the sides, maybe a little location point at the back or something that's hidden. I think that might have worked a little better. But there's always a trade-off between the engineering, the accuracy, and so on. So it's not a big issue. What would be nice though is to roll up some little bits of coloured paper, paint them different colours and put them in, so you've got flags in the flag lockers. So yeah, that would be good. Then we carry on, more deck fittings. hatch doors, which are nice, more capstans, more ladders, building up more colonnades. Yeah, lots of detail on there. We've got a photo etched ship's wheel, and then we've got some wooden bits and pieces. So it shows it there just in place, but obviously the ship's wheel would have had rope around it, which would have then gone into holes in the deck. So I guess we could do that because that's not been included as an instruction, but you can wind some thread around that. How the ship's wheel works is it's manipulating a rope, so we could put some rope around there and put some holes in the deck for the rope to disappear down to, and you could sort of glue that in. So yeah, there's a little idea for that. Okay, yeah, all very nice. And then we've got our little storage things for compasses and bits and pieces with a little chimney on. That all looks very nice as well. Yeah, all very good. We can see our stove chimney there, and then we're building up the belfry. Building up the belfry has been really simplified for you because it's another 3D printed part. Got a brass bell, and yeah, really nice. And then you just paint the whole thing black, hang it in, and it looks glorious, doesn't it? Okay, building up cannons now, and putting those in place. Then we've got the gunport doors, and we've got little markings to show you where to put the hinges, which is lovely. And we've got eye bolts for them all. So when you put the hinges on and the eye bolts on, you can rig them as they should be with a little bit of thread for opening and closing them. Then we have ship's boats. So this is where you basically go off and start doing a whole new world of modelling, and you're basically doing individual model boats. They're kits in their own right. Some people don't like doing them, find them a bit fiddly. I quite enjoy doing them actually, but they are very time consuming, and Vanguard Models is going to be offering 3D printed boats as replacements for those of you that don't want to build up these small ones in wood. So I'm hoping to be able to review those for you at some point in the future. We're nearly at the end of the instruction manual here. So then we've got, I mean, there's nice details like facing the rudder and stuff. The attention to detail is astonishing. So there we go, boats being built up. We can see what they look like. We've got oars in there, which are laser cut wood, which is really nice. So you're not trying to fashion them yourself out of wood rod, and every oar looks different. So yeah, continuing with the ship's boats, there's several, and it's probably still not a full complement because they would have been stacked and lashed together as well. But yeah, moving on. Then we've got anchors. So again, 3D printed anchors, which gives you a lot more accuracy and sharpness of detail than cast metal ones that you typically get. So yeah, very nice, and they're a lot lighter as well, so they put less stress on your model when it's finished. So there isn't any commentary about painting them, so I'm guessing they're leaving them natural wood. I think they were usually painted or tarred because they're being immersed into water, and yeah, we'll see when we come to attach them what they say about them. So then we're building up the display stand, and what they do is they offer you an acrylic display stand. So that means you're not having to drill holes into the keel to mount it on brass pedestals. I really like this solution because it's not interfering with the look of the model, and you're not interfering with the integrity of the model either, and not having to mess around. They've done laser cut reliefed badges. They're really nice because they give you a bit of detail, and they don't say, oh, it's in this scale and it's by this manufacturer, which is a bit of a distraction from what you really want to know. And we can see here a picture of the 4 ship's boats. Like I say, it's likely there would have been at least some more boats stacked on there and lashed down, but that gives you the ability to look in, see everything below. Just looks lovely, doesn't it? And we get a picture of her at this built-up stage now. I'd missed that we've done this, but these are for putting the hammocks in, and they basically build up a defensive wall when she's in action. So all the hammocks would be stowed in there. There should be some form of mesh or net in there, so you could always add that if you wanted. But as they are with the frames, you can see through it better in that way, so I don't mind it. We've got the anchor chain there, which also I hadn't noticed going on. Yeah, more pictures of the model as she is so far. Then we've got a couple of line drawings of what she looks like with the cutouts. So we can see through, which were often done on Admiralty style ships in different ways. So I like that. We're not losing what's going on, but obviously when you look through the windows, because we've got clear acetate windows, they're not blocked off, you're actually getting a proper view of what's inside, which I think is really, really nice. You'd be tempted to actually put a little yellow-orange LED in there and light it up with a candle-coloured glow. That could be interesting, couldn't it? And then we have the very extensive parts list. Now, when you get this and you're checking it off, you don't need to check off all the individual items, because most of these are in Woodstock or MDF or whatever, so you check those off against the plans. Have you got the sheet with all the parts on? That's all you need to know. But then as we get towards the back here, I mean, there's a lot of parts on this list, isn't there? Then you've got things like photo extra. Again, just check you've got the sheet numbers, and then you've got everything that you need. And there's things like the acetate there, and the black gold laser max, which is the 2 nameplates. So how it basically works is it gives you a part number, gives you a description, tells you the material and the size, and then tells you how many you've got. And then at the back there, we've got decal sheets. They talk about an optional flag set. So if you want to buy an optional flag set to add, I think that'll look lovely. I don't have it. I might buy one so we can review what that's like as well for completeness. So yeah, a flag set would be something, even if you're not putting the sails on, and it doesn't come with sails, but they do sell sails separately. Even without sails, and I won't put sails on because I like to see the spars and the rigging. They get in the way a little bit, I think. Having the flags on just finishes her off, states who she is. I like that. Okay, then we've got some printed on in the instructions maps. So we've got these maps you can cut out and place in the cabin, and it doesn't say what these are, but I reckon that you could create a little wooden frame around that and make it a picture to hang on the wall or something. So yeah, very, very nice, and you can see them there in there with all the furniture. So lovely. And then on the last page, they talk about other models in their range. So Sphinx, Duchess of Kingdom, Speedy, which we've already reviewed on the channel, down to small cutters, and even smaller little fishing smack type things. So there's a whole range there. I think we're on about 16 or 17 kits now that Vanguard models do. All of them as accurate as this. Really, really nice. That is our instructions. That is an image of part of the original plans, which I'm guessing we used in the design of the model. So yeah, let's have a quick look at the plans. So our plans are all plotted on large format paper. I don't know what the size is, but the first thing that you know is the quality of the printing of these. The lines are really, really thin, and that's helpful further on when you're looking at the bigger details. When I first looked at them, I thought, well, they're a bit pale, because I'm used to sort of thicker, bolder lines. But once you sit down and you're actually looking at them, you know, they're quite visible, even with my failing eyesight. So ignore the ticks. That's me just checking that we had everything. So we've got, first of all, we've got the plans which shows you all the parts and gives you the part numbers for everything. So this is plan sheet A. So this is what you use to just double check you've got everything you should have in your kit when you first get it, especially if you're putting it into storage and not building it straight away. You want to make sure you've got everything just in case they stop producing this in a couple of years' time or whatever. So we've got A, B, C1, which is plywood decks, and then C2, which is deck planking plan. These are optionals. You can, if you don't want to do the individual plank laying, you can get laser cut decking that you can just plop in paste as an option. And again, I might purchase a set just so we can review those for completeness, but I don't have those at the moment, so I can't show you what they would look like, but I've no doubt they look just like the other decking, laser cut decking, so you'll get a look at that when we look at the parts in a moment. So this is included in here, but it is not part of the kit build, and to be honest, I couldn't find them on the website, so contact them. There's a contact email for Vanguard models, and ask them about that, and they can sort that out. Yeah, Chris usually responds to my emails same day, pretty much, so it's a fairly good service from that point of view. Then we've got laser cut parts, laser cut parts, laser cut parts. Right, so that's our first tranche of plans. It's just parts list effectively. So I'm not going to show you all of these because they're just too large, but we've got a frame plan which includes the lower deck, so this supports the instructions of building it. You should always be cross-referencing with these. So let's see how many frame plans we've got. Yeah, we've got plans which show exact positions, and I believe these are all to scale, so you can cross-reference where everything is. And when you finish building your model, you can give these to the kids to colour in. That'd be amazing. And then we've got plans there which shows the parts, positioning of the parts, everything for cross-reference with your instruction manual, so that you know you're placing it in exactly the right place. All very good. We'll have a look at one in a minute. Right, so if we take those out, so that gets us to plan sheet 7, and how the plans work, if you're not familiar with wooden model ships, but I'm guessing if you're watching this you might be, it tells you the sheet number and what it's dealing with. So bow and hammock cranes. So it's got the quarter gallery rail pillars can be painted yellow ochre, so it pointing that out, even though we've seen it in the instructions, so I like that. Then when we fold them out, you can see all sorts of bow details there. From when we were building it up, you can see placement of decoration. Yeah, and then when we get to the lower bit there, we can see the placement of the water line markers, placements of various other little parts, holes to be drilled, gives you all the part numbers, and we can see all the cranes there for the hammocks, and it gives you an idea of the size of this thing. Not small. So all in all, there is 10 sheets of hull plans, totaling everything that you've done in the build manual being covered off, and then these ones are upside down. Then we get to masts. So plan sheet 11 is the start of the masts, mizzen mast and bowsprit, and they are to scale, so you know that gives you an idea of the size of the thing. That's the bowsprit there, obviously, and you can see all the rigging points. We've got nice view of what that should look like front on, so that's all very nice. And then finish without flying boom fitted, so that's this first rod, and then you've got this second rod that goes over the top, so it just gives you those little details that are hidden, so I like that as well. Yeah, really nice layout, very clear, lots of space around it, so you've got space to write notes if you want, and tick things off and what have you, so I do really like that. Yeah, very nice. So let's see, how many have we got then focused on max? So 11, 12, 13, so that's 3, 4, 5. So we've got 5 plans dealing with masts, which leaves us with 4 sets of plans dealing with the rigging, and we've got starting with how to rig your dead eyes, which is really nice. Dead eye lanyard sequence pipe. So that's the sequencing. I don't know in the instructions if they talk about a method to make sure the distance is correct. There is a way of doing that, which I'll show you when I'm building my next wooden ship at that stage. But you can see where all your rat lines should be. It's all very clear. You can see how the shrouds are coming together. It's really nicely done. It's really clear. Yeah. Photo etch hooks, so you've got some authenticity. You're not tying things to spurious eyes and that sort of stuff. Yeah, and you can learn a lot of terminology through this as well, so very, very nice. So that is our instructions. Let's look at parts. Right, first parts out of the box, and we've got a reel of copper tape. Now, all of the kits so far have been supplied with copper tape, which is used, you cut it to length to create the underhull copper tiles. Now, there is a little thing to watch out for in the instructions. The instructions refer to part number F20 and part number F46. Both of those get made out of this copper tape. And the reason why there's two different part numbers is because the original intention was to have photo etched copper tiles to put on the hull to plate the hull, but at the time of release of the kit, the pandemic had given us a world shortage in copper, and so copper tape was the only way to go. And it's only just the market is only just catching up with itself. So whether there'll be tiles in future kits, I don't know, but I do know that there is an intention to have them on the website so that you can purchase those if you prefer, and probably that would be my preference, but this is quite usable. What it lacks is any fastener detail, which I suspect will be on the photo etch ones. So when they come out, we might have a look at getting a set and quickly reviewing them. Right, let's have a look at the other parts. So there are several boxes held within the main box, including a large box which sits on top of all the sheet material, and there's different things in those boxes, so we'll just work through them as we get to them. So first of all, we have our lanterns. So they're individually packed in Ziploc bags, and there's part number on there on the sticker. You can see F2, and what we've got inside is a really nice 3D printed lantern. Let me see if I can show you that. I will share some pictures in a minute of all of these parts. Then we've got laser cut plastic, which we're going to fold and put inside, and then there's a little bit of brass wire. So I'll take some photographs of all the parts, and before we do the wood, I'll share some photographs so you can see them up close. Decals now, and we've got the nameplate for the back, and then we've got our depth marks, and we appear to have two of everything. So you've got two bites of the cherry by the looks of it. They're very, very thin. I can't feel them under my finger at all. Very, very thin. So you'll need a little bit of care to put these down. They also have a lot of decal film margin. Look at that. A huge amount of margin on there. There's no brand on here, so I can't pinpoint who's made these. But yeah, there is a huge amount of decal film on there, so some modelers may want to trim some of that off to lessen your risk of silvering, maybe, and it remains to be seen how easy it'll be to put these on to copper tiles or copper tape when you've done that. So yeah, will be interesting, but they are nicely done. They're nice and crisp. We don't have a register to have an issue with, really. I do wonder though if the Indefatigable is a little bit too thin, and that it's, I suppose it's going on a black background, so it should be fine. Should be fine, I think. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that it's not a cartograph standard, but actually, I am really impressed with how thin they are. So there's nothing wrong with those, actually. So next is our plastic card laser cut flooring, which is, I mean, basically it's relief edge laser cut. It's really, really nice. The result is you've got sort of high points and low points. So the white tiles all being raised, and then the alternate colour, which is like a beige colour, isn't it, is lower. But when you've got that in the model and you're peering down through the little gaps that you're leaving in the deck or through the stern gallery windows, you're really not going to see that effect at all. It's really nicely done. Very, very nicely done. Next are the nameplates for the stand. And again, these are laser cut. They are very nice indeed. What we've got is a gold back plate. It's plastic or acetate, coloured acetate, which has a black coating on top, and then it's been laser cut in relief, so you get the lettering. And as a result, it's really crisp and easy to read. They need a little bit of clean up. There's a little bit of laser dust on them, so we just need to give them a little wipe over and maybe seal them. But yeah, lovely. Usually I've seen these only being clear. This is the first time I've seen them not being clear. It's usually a clear bit of acetate, and then you're going to have to put some paint in or something to bring out the lettering. But this, you don't need to do anything with this. And you get 2 of these, 1 for each side of your display stand. Next, we have some photo etched eye bolts. Really nicely done, quite thick. I don't see a thickness on here, but it will be in the parts list. So yeah, nothing wrong with that. But look how many you've got. Plenty, hopefully. Right, this is going to be a little difficult to see, so there you go. You can just about make the outline out there. This looks like cartridge paper, but it feels a bit different. It's some form of card, and these have been laser cut, and if you remember in the instructions, these get laid over the top of each other to make the roofing on this side galleries. So it's a really nice idea. Because usually they're just left and you paint them and they don't really look that authentic. So I really love that. Very, very nicely done. And exactly the same for what will be the hinges on the rudder. Yeah, very nice. And we do have some cartridge paper. What that's quite for, I'm not really sure. But I'm sure all will be revealed when we build it. Next box out has all of our rigging thread in. So black being the standing rigging, and then the tan colours being the rigging that's used, that you're constantly adjusting things and what have you. So we've got a number of different reels of thread in various different sizes, which is really nice. Then we've got some black rope, black cable, which it says we've got 2 meters of. It never looks like 2 meters, does it? But it will be. So slightly different thicknesses. This one being slightly thicker, and then a tan cable, which no doubt will be used for the anchor. I would think. I don't know. Generally, it's accepted that if you're building your model to look like a museum standard display piece, that the black rigging looks better. But in reality, that's representing tarred ropes, and over time they actually turn brown. So if you're building your ship in a seascape and you're going to do some weathering on her, then you might consider swapping these out for a darker brown. You still want to be able to differentiate them from the running rigging, but yeah, just something to put in your heads there, depending on how you're going to display your model. I'll be keeping mine black. So the next box has got a label on telling us we've got F3 to F6, or F3 plus F6, not sure. Let's open up and see what we've got. Okay, we've got a lot of things in here. Right, let's start with the anchors. So we've got 4 anchors which are 3D printed, and they are so, I mean, automatically, so the anchors are so much nicer than the sort of cast metal ones that you typically get. Very nicely done. There is a little bit of cleanup needed, a gentle sand in places. Obviously 3D printed parts often have this little textured witness of the layering of the parts. and wherever you can get in to sand them off, you should. And then if you look on the underside here, you can see all those little shiny little dots. You want to sand those off as well. That's the connection points from when it was printed. I can only see them on the underside there, so it looks like they were sort of printed in an upright position maybe. But we have 4 of them. They are really, really nicely done. Yeah, I have no issues with them at all. In fact, they're very nice. Our next item is the ship's stove. And what a thing of beauty that is. Again, fully 3D printed. And we can see just there where the connection points have been. It's a different material to the anchors, and it's actually a little soft. You can scratch it very, very easily with your nails, so you need to handle it with a lot of care. But the detail is really, really sharp. Yeah, really, really sharp, that. Nice, and as we saw in the instructions, there's a lot to go on there to finish it off. Also in the box is a bag of brass nails, fairly standard fare. These are all dome head rather than flat head, but the idea is that you're removing them anyway, so that's okay. And then we've got 3 bags of parabol beads of different sizes, all being used in different places, no doubt. And then we've got a lot of rigging blocks. So this is all the blocks we've got for the rigging. So from the top we've got 3 different sizes of dead eyes. Then we've got 2, 4, 6 different sizes of single block. And interestingly, you can see that the larger the part number, the larger the block. Then we've got 2 different sizes of double blocks. We've got a set of triple blocks, and these, I still can't remember what you call them, and I still want to call them donuts, but they're not donuts. Yeah, so 2 different sizes of those, small ones and large ones, and instantly as you look at them you can tell they're really good quality. They look nice, they've got that sort of nice antique-y look to them, a used worn look. So if you are keeping these all wood, they will look absolutely splendid. And you know, if you're going to paint them black, that's your choice, not a problem either. They're much better than what you often get in kits, which are these things, which are really pale, standard cheap materials, and quite often the holes aren't particularly well drilled, as you can see there. Whereas these, as I look at them, the holes are really, really nice. You can see they're all level. So great high quality blocks, lovely. We've also got 2 sheets of photo etching here. That one is, I think, aimed with the oven in mind, and that's the chimney cover there. I think these handles might be on the oven. All of this might be oven one way or another. There is some nice relief etching on it, and if I show you, you can see the chain is really nicely depicted. You've got this little up and down effect, which gives you the feel of a chain. Yeah, very nice. Then we have 2 bags of cannonballs, different sizes. In the parts list, you'll see these are listed as acrylic, which is how the first kits were originally released. But apparently the cost of the acrylic ones kept going up, which from my experience of working with manufacturers as a procurement person, that means they're having problems manufacturing them, and it's costing them more and more than they imagined. So these are cheaper, and they also have the ability to be chemically blacked. So that's a really handy way to go. So we've got some metal cannonballs there. So yeah, lovely, nothing wrong with those. Then we've got, this is the chain that is going to hold your rudder in place. And we've got the chimney there, which goes with the binnacle and what have you. And then we have the ship's bell, which has a clapper inside. Lovely. Then we're back on 3D printed parts, and the first one that I'm picking up is the belfry. Let's carefully get that out. There we go. So this is the same material as the anchors, in the black. Yeah, a little bit of cleanup needed on the connection points, as always, but the detail is really nice. Get you to focus, there we go. The detail is really, really nice. So just a very, very mild wet and dry, and just sort out some of the little lumps and bumps in places, such as show you on this leg there. You can see that little lump there, so we can just smooth that off. Yeah, that's lovely actually. When you've got the bell in there and it's all painted up, it should look stunning. Next we have a figure. I don't know whether this is hornblower or not. Looks like it probably is, but there's only one figure in this box, so the other figure must be somewhere else, probably with the furniture somewhere. But he's really nicely done. The facial expression is lovely. Standing with his hands on his hips. Very nice. We'll show you a photograph of that. Yeah, very nice. Now he is on a stand, but with a little bit of care, you could probably get him off that stand, which if you're going to put him in your ship, you don't really want him on a platform, do you? Then we have a little bag with some more printed parts in, and these are either going to go at the bottom or maybe on the top, but I think more likely the bottom of the stern galleries. I'm not quite sure what these are, but given how many of them we've got, I'm guessing they're to do with the cannons in some way. But they look like little arrows, but they're actually joined together, I think. Yeah, definitely joined together. So I'm not quite sure what they are. Then we do have something that I know what it is. It's the wheels for the carronades. So so you can these go at the back so that the carronade can move from side to side. Yeah, 3D printed, all very nice. Really lovely. The 3D printing is such an improvement on metal casting. Yeah, lovely. Let's have a look at this now. So these are stove parts. We've got a drip tray, which is this item here. Then we've got some pipe work. I think this is so that they can put bellow air in to stoke the fire. I think that's what it is. I might be wrong, but I think that's what it is. And then we've got our chimney, which is really nice. We've got the open detail there to allow the photo etch to be mounted in. Open hole, so we can paint that, add the photo etch, that, and it'll look lovely. And then we put the handle on the side there. Our last box now, and we've got looks like the cannons mainly, so let's get those out. I think we might have the rest of the figures. So we've got a big bag of F10s. They're our main cannons. Let's have a look at those. So again, 3D printed. Really stunning. And we've even got markings on them. So we've got the powder point there, like the fuse area. And then we've got the coat of arms on it. So that's just beautiful. You never get that on the metal ones. You know, if you're buying good quality ones, the turned brass ones, because they're turned, you can't put that detail on. So absolutely phenomenal, really nice. And we've got two of a different size, absolutely the same. Open ends, of course. A little bit of a sand on the ends because we've got some layering witnessing. But coat of arms and everything's on there, really nice. And then the last little bag is carronades. Let's get out and have a look at that. So yeah, there we go. Cool, they're really nice. Again, I still think we want to go over them and just smarten them up a little bit. I'm sure the instructions will tell you to do that. But yeah, so they're not fully opened. You could always drill into it a little bit, but I think they're deep enough. If you can see, don't know if the camera will pick it up, there is slight texturing on the front that you just want to sand flush for completeness. And connection points at the back that just need a little clean up. But otherwise, that's a really nicely printed, lovely detailed carronade. Fabulous. Right, table and chairs. Lovely. We've got a really nicely done table with lovely shape on the legs. I mean, it's just really nice. And then on the top, we've got a book there. We've got some blocks of some type, so little wooden boxes or something. And then we've got an area, even with a bit of texturing in. Can you see that? Where we can put one of those maps from the instruction book on. And then we've got a telescope on the corner there. I mean, painted up, that's gonna look absolutely stunning. And then we've got two chairs that go with it. They're fairly straightforward chairs, but they look really nice with the backs. A little bit of clean up on the side where they were printed, but otherwise very, very nice. He's even designed one with a wonky leg. Yeah, they are lovely. The last item in the box is the figurehead, again, beautifully 3D printed. Really, really nice. Clean up on the sword. But yeah, no, you may be a little bit of clean up on the back here to make sure it fits nice and tight and flush with the wood. But yeah, that's really nice, and when painted up, should look absolutely stunning. That's much better than a metal cast one. I keep saying that, and it remains true. Right, so just to be clear on the figures, in the kit you get Captain Pilu figure, which is the figure we saw before, which I thought was Hornblower. I'd forgotten that Hornblower, Lieutenant Hornblower, is an optional figure, so you can buy that separately off the website if you like. This that we're looking at here is also a set that you can buy off the website, Officers at Table, I think it's called. And I think actually I should have just one. I think I've got an extra one somehow, but it's the same table that we've already looked at, and it comes with a little display base here, and we can mount that on the table. There's little pins on it, so you can mount the table on the point. We've got an officer sat down, which is 2 parts, so we can plop him together. And the fit is superb. And then he will sit at the table. I've probably got the table the wrong way around, but you get the idea. The chair legs sit there, and then you've got this guy pointing at the map. So you've got a little model in its own right, and I think inside of our model here, they'll look absolutely gorgeous because we've got three 3 cabins that we can use. So we could modify this table so that it looks a little bit different to the other one. Put a different map on it, maybe paint the colour differently, remove some of the boxes and just make it different. And then we've got a spare figure in this instance that we can put somewhere else. Now I'm thinking of getting some of the optional stuff so that we can review it, but that'll be in a separate video. But yeah, I just thought I'd show you while we're on it that we've got these little figures that you can add and just build them on their own if you want. So they all come in this little box. There's other figures you can buy, so it's worth checking out the website. They've got Marines, they've got the ship's cook, they've got gun crews, and depending on your scale, because he does them in 4 or 5 different scales, depends on the price. So they range from sort of £9.50 for an individual figure, all the way up to £22 if you're buying like 132 scale or something. So very nice set of figures. They're very nicely printed and you can really populate your ship if you wish to. So we have 2 acetate sheets in the kit. This is by far the largest one, and it's our ultimate final display stand. And what we can see, we've got the 2 end pieces there. We've got the support that fits the length of it, and then the 2 little cutouts in the middle there are to allow these to be fitted, and you can see the little notch there. That's for our nameplates that we've seen to be mounted on. So this isn't white, it's just the backing film. You can see it's got backing film on both sides, so it's completely clear. And it's a really nice way of displaying the model because you're not having to mess around with the structure of the model to mount it on pillars or something like that. And because it's completely clear, it doesn't interrupt the impression of the final ship. So I really like this. I'm not aware of anyone else that does it this way. The other one is by far smaller. There we go. A bit difficult to see because I've got a blue background, which is great for most things. But this has got all of our windows in, which we'll be using throughout the build. So for the stern gallery and the cabin bulkheads and what have you. Again, it's all laser cut. It's nicely done and protected. So it's just a matter of cutting the tabs to get those out. So nice and thin, but giving you a decent thickness so that it's not too flimsy and you'll be able to put it in and it's not going to flop around. So yeah, nicely done. Next, we've got the package of all our dowels in here. So most of these will be for the masts and the yards and bits and pieces like that. There may be 1 or 2 other bits that we need as we build the model, but most of it will be for that. You can see that we've basically got 2 different colours. So that'll look really nice if you're choosing to varnish rather than paint. That'll look really nice, and they're held together with the tape that's used throughout the packaging of this model. And what I'd say is, if you're storing this for a longer time, like with all the other parts that where tape's in contact with the actual wood, you want to remove the tape, because over time the adhesive can perish, and what that does is it sinks in the wood, because the wood's like a living thing. It absorbs it and it leaves a witness, and it's a problem because you can't get rid of that staining particularly easily. So if you're wanting to varnish things when you come to do it, it can be a problem. It's a bit easier to get rid of it if you're painting it. You can sand it smooth and what have you, but it does leave a stain, and you can almost see a little bit of a witness there where the tape was. So if you're not building the kit straight away, I always advise taking off the tape. Now you might not want to lose the fact that all of these different sizes have been grouped together for you, so it's easy to find them. So what I like to do is I use either remaining thread from a previous build, where I might only have a little bit left, or cheap dreadful thread that I was in a kit that I discarded and replaced with a better quality thread. So, you know, I don't throw these away because they're really handy for all sorts of things, all sorts of modelling tasks. But what I can do is I can just bound that with a bit of thread. It's doing exactly the same job as the tape was, but rather than having a witness and having a problem, this won't cause me any problems. So what I'll do is I'll just tie this up at both ends, and I've still got things grouped as I need them, and it stops it rolling around in the kit, but I know I'm not going to have any problems from long-term storage. So as you go through all your parts and you check all your parts off, repackage things as well, so that they're not just stored for the short term for transportation, but they're actually also stored ready for when you're storing it in your stash. So there we go, like that. I'll do the other end off camera. So there are 7 different sizes of dowel in the kit ultimately. The largest one, no doubt, for the main mast, and then all the smaller ones as we progress. The quality of the wood is really nice. The quality of the surface of the dowel is also really nice. There's no roughness to it or anything like that. So yeah, I'd be happy to use these unpainted, not a problem. Again, quality materials. So the strip stock now, and we've got 4 bundles, but actually there's a number of different bundles within there. They're all about 90 centimeters long, so just under a meter in length. And what we've got is this looks like, I'm not quite sure, that's definitely pear, so I think that's the second planking, that, and it's all very nicely done. Yeah, it's all very very smooth. Yeah, no real issues with that. This will be the first planking, the paler wood there. It's a little bit thicker and designed for structural strength. Then we've got this, which looks a slightly different colour to the pear, so I'm not quite sure, without referring to the parts list, what the material is. But it's all very nice, good quality. Yeah, no issues with that. Again, it's all taped up, so just like before, you probably want to tie that up and remove the tape. And then this one, we've got lots of different types of wood in here. If we take the tape off, you'll see there's lots of different tapes there. So let's break this down and have a quick look at that. So that last bundle, when untaped, breaks down into another 4 bundles of material. All of it is pear. All seems to be in good order. Nicely done. I do have on, you can see there, I do have a couple of rough edges on the sawing there, but I don't think it's going to be an issue depending on what we're doing with it. If it is, then it's easy to get hold of the manufacturer and sort that out. And then we've got these smaller ones. These are the most fragile ones. These are really easy to snap, so make sure you've got them nicely secured. So next we have the large sheets of photo etch, and these are all in polythene, like a polythene sleeve that's been heat sealed in places. So actually, it's all together and it won't come out. You've got to actually cut them to separate them, which is what I have done, so that we can get in and have a look. So there's 4 different parts of the photo etch. So let's have a quick look at those. So this first fret of photo etch has lots of stuff to do with the rigging. We've got the dead-eye clasps. We've got all sorts of hooks and various bits and pieces that we're going to use predominantly on the rigging, not all of it on the rigging. I think some of these are to do with the ship's boat. So if I just turn this over, you can see the relief etch there on what will be the ship's boat's rudders. So if I just bring that up to the camera for you, you can see that. It's all very nicely done. It's quite thick photo etch, so if you're used to working with photo etch on plastic models, this will feel quite heavy and chunky, but it's much more suited to the job at hand in this kit. So yeah, very nice. It's 0.4mm, it's telling me on here, but yeah, lovely. The second one has got quite a lot of the functional parts. So we've got all the windows and various window frames, again relief etched. So we've got different thicknesses for the frame than for the cross members, which is really lovely. We've got relief etched fastener detail on all of these hinges. We've got different sizes of hinges there. Not quite sure what all of these are for. This might actually be for the flag locker. I hadn't picked up that it was photo etch being used for the flag locker, but that's what that looks like to me. And then they look like swivel gun mounts or something similar. A lot of pinions there, and I wonder if they're for the hammock cages, maybe. Not quite sure. We've got some boat hooks there, and then we've got the parts that build up the steering wheel, which ship's wheel I should say, which is nice because you've got all the detail that you don't usually get. You usually get a big thick chunky bit of generic wood or even worse cast metal, whereas this is really nice. Now you'd argue that, you know, the pins will be flat because it's photo etched rather than rounded. Yeah, okay, but the level of detail on there, I think, is more than forgivable. So yeah, another very nice fret of parts. So yeah, lots and lots of parts. These are all clearly for the hammock storage. So what these are for, I'm not quite sure. I'm sure it'll all become obvious as you go through the instructions. Some parts there for the masts, or maybe the bowsprit, but given the number, it's most likely masts, and some more hooks and photo etched Bailey pins, which means they'll be nice and easy to fit. They'll all be the same size. So yeah, and it also means they're much more to scale rather than generic ones, which ultimately end up being overscale. Our last sheet of photo etch, I believe, from all the photo etch in the kit, and we've got, I mean, look how they're starting to slightly bend upwards. That's because they're really, really thin. So more ship's boat rudders, which we're going to sandwich a block of wood on. We've got parts for the hull, so that goes near the back. It's like a joining piece, if you like, and then the lucky horseshoe that goes underneath the keel there, which all ships had, and then these parts look very much like the flintlocks for the cannons. That's mental, isn't it? That is mental, but I love it. And these could be hinges for the, what's it say? It does actually say something on it. screen bulkhead door hinges. There you go. So we know what they are. And then we've got skylight door hinges, which are smaller. Not quite sure what those are. But yeah, lovely. Oh, and I think we've got the compasses there as well. So yeah, lovely, lovely detail. There's also 2 different thicknesses of brass wire supplied in the kit. So this is the first of 2 packs of laser cut parts, which pretty much amounts to all the small stuff. And as you can see, there's a huge amount. Now, generally over the last few years, wooden model kits have gone more and more towards laser cut parts, and you've seen an increase of the number of them in the kit. They have a couple of advantages. One is you can get some real beautiful accuracy, which you can't get doing them yourselves pretty much, certainly at this scale. And the other thing is it allows for generally easier and quicker building. Having said that, I have never seen so much. There is tons of it, absolutely tons of it. I've just shown you all the wooden stock, and there wasn't much of it because the rest of it is prefabricated. There's still a huge amount of building time required, and there is certainly experience of building models needed for this. This is aimed at experienced builders, so don't think that in some way it's being dumbed down. What you're actually benefiting from is accuracy and detail levels that have not been widely achievable before. So it's all good. Let's have a look at what we've got. We'll just quickly jog through these because otherwise we'll be here for a week. I'll start longest first, just so I can pack them away. So what we've got, it tells us the thickness of the material, and it tells us the materials. This is 1mm pair, and that's really handy when you're looking for the part numbers and trying to find your parts. All the part numbers are laser engraved on, so nice and easy to find, and when things are handed, we've got letters to help us with that. So I mean, these parts here, I mean, clearly these are hull parts, so maybe the keel or something like that. It's going to sandwich the material that we've used. You can see we've got all the lasering done to show you where the joints would be. I mean, doing that yourself with actual bits of wood and doing the jointing, it's never going to look as smart or as neat as that. So yeah, very nicely done. We've got inner planking as well. Much of this will perhaps be painted, so should look very nice around the gun ports there. So this will be the inside of the bulwarks. Very nice, and they look like top rails to me. And then we've got more 1mm pair, and this is more inner bulwarks. And this one here at the end that's got this kick out, this flare up, that is because it's going to be shaped, and that's going to be going on the inside curve of the bow there. And then we have the 2 parts included that are optional, but you absolutely won't see. But really nice to have them. It's really lovely and crisp, and your gun ports are already cut, so that's really helpful. You probably have a little bit of smartening up to do because it's sandwiching it together and making sure everything's flush, but it's really nicely done. Yeah, lovely. Okay, so here we've got all sorts of parts for the stern galleries. Some nice work there on internal surfaces and that beautiful bit of compass there. Then we've got gun port patterns, more gun port patterns. These are the outer hull for the gun port patterns, and you can see what's been done is where the decoration is going has been lasered on so that you can perfectly align it. That's fabulous, absolutely fabulous. No measuring and stuff, it really will speed your build up. Then we've actually got the decoration, so you can see that's laser cut as well. You might want to do a little bit of rounding off and things like that once you've removed it, but very lovely tight scroll work. It's very, very difficult to do that yourself. So yeah, very nice. Then we've got lots of small parts. So we've got the binnacle box there being made up. Various, I think that's the flag locker outers there. Capstan parts and rail bases and tops. Lots and lots of lovely detail. So the lasering is really high quality. That's all parts for the 32-foot pinnace. So all the wood parts, if you're going to be building the wood version of the model boats as they come. Then we've got stern gallery and rudder stuff. I mean, look at the size of that rudder. That's giving you an idea of how big this is going to be. There's my hand. All right, I've got relatively small hands, but even so, it's not a small model, this. Gratings, anchor parts, various other bits and pieces, some nice relief etching going on there. Lovely. Then we've got the prow, and you've got all the wood shape. You can see how that's constructed, so that'll look really nice under paint. And then we've even got the positioning for the horseshoes there, so that's really nice. Yeah, lovely. Then we've got the fighting tops and various bits and pieces for the mast. Gratings for the bow there, both of those I think. Parts for making up the bow section where you've got all the ribs and what have you, and what looks like more top rails, and then more decoration for the ship and more surfaces for the bulwarks, and it's all stunning. And we've got all sorts of things going on here. In fact, this is upside down. Let me turn it the right way around. So we've got cleats and bits and pieces for tying off the ropes. And then we've got blocks. I'm not sure if they get built up to make them thicker or what. But yeah, it does give you the different sizes as well. 7.5, 9, 10, 8. So yeah, I mean, that's really lovely as well. I would imagine these get built up in layers to build something up. Not quite sure what the frames are around them. They must be used for something else. Fighting top deck. Look at that. That's really nice as well. Lovely. Then we've got some structural items. We're on 4mm thick here. And again, it's solid wood, so all good. But we've got lots of beams and bits and pieces. As these are in solid wood and not MDF, then I'm fairly sure these will be the ones that you paint and are more decorative and visible. Might even be the ones that are underneath the ship's boats on some of those. Then we've got, what's this? 5mm wood. So we've got some of the parts for the masts, some of the heavier structural items that go on the decks for the bit racks and things like that. Yeah, and yeah, lots of lovely detail. Relief etching once again. Yeah, very nice. And then we've got here 2mm, and these are all knees and bits and pieces. So I imagine a lot of these are for the ship's boats, but some of them might be for the main structure as well. Last two items in that first packet, we've got some MDF structural items here. Doesn't tell us the thickness of that, but it's got to be a centimetre at least. And then we've got this, and it's called Polyback, the material. I've never heard of it. I could do with finding out what that is. But it's laser cut, and it's got the stern gallery fine details on it. And just look at that. Isn't that stunning? I mean, you could never do that yourself. You could never replicate that yourself. Not in a million years. All relief laser etched, and it's just beautiful. Second pack of the small sheets, and they're all the same length, so we can whip through these quite quickly. So we've got lots of knees and various other bits in 3mm thick pair here. And again, the lasering goes all the way through. It's nice and neat on both sides. It's really high quality laser work. Then we've got more knees and some structural parts and various bits and pieces, some parts for the gallery, what look like columns for under some of the beams. Then we've got, they look like the bits that are making up the anchor cross tees. We've got the chocks for the boats there, pin the bits there for the various structures. We've seen the posts in other ones. We've got cleats and all sorts of bits and pieces, and yeah, all very nice. Then we've got the cannon carriages and wheels. The wheels look authentic. Yeah, very nice. So we've got the outer case. We've got the wedge there for adjusting the height. So it's all really lovely. And I know there's some etch work to go on there as well. So we've got 1, 2 focusing on cannons and coronades. Then we've got gratings that go in various places. More bits for the capstans. That I think is perhaps, oh, got a bit that's come out there. That is perhaps what the galley stove sits on. It looks like it's usually like a stone floor, because obviously you've got hot coals and things, and it's not conducive to them being laying on a wooden deck. So that's what I imagine that is. We've got some of the more the parts for building up the decoration on the stern gallery there, and various other things. More cleats. Yeah, that's quite a thin sheet, that 1mm. Then we've got inside decoration for the stern gallery. It actually says inner on there, but I think we can work that out from the fact that it's decorated. Not sure whether that's inner or outer. Whatever it is, the gun ports are shut. We've got more decorated parts. All lovely. The lasering is very high quality, I have to say. Right, then we've got the parts for rigging, and the name of them escapes me. Why is that? Because I'm getting old, I think. Right, yeah, but we saw those in the instructions, how they build up multiple layers. Very nice. Oars for the ship's boats, which is nice. We've got the ladders there, which are laser cut, rather than cutting bits of strip and having a devil of a job fitting them in. It's all laser cut, so they should fit in nice and easy. Lots of ideas to make it easier and more accurate. We've got inner parts here. Again, lasering is really nice. Hatch doors, more knees. Yeah, lots and lots of bits and pieces here. And look at this, beautiful, isn't it? All the internal paneling, and we've just seen little decorative columns to be glued on there. There's more of them there as well. very nice. And then of course we've got the acetate to glaze them, and the window frames that are photo etched. It's just building up into lovely, lovely assemblies. Parts for the wooden deck on the ship's boats, and it's just gorgeous, isn't it? And I understand why some people want 3D ones, but 3D printed ones, but they look really good as they are. And then we've got the gunport doors, and we've got the positionings marked on for the hinges. Fabulous. Yeah, more decorative parts. Some of this actually says hull planking. So clearly that's not for the main ship, that's hull planking for the ship's boats. So I'm guessing it's allow you to do the clinker. Fabulous. Yeah, and then we've got more of it here. Blimey. I mean, these are all going to be individual modelling projects in their own right. More structural beams. These are nice and thick. What's this, 6mm? Yeah, 6mm solid wood. And there's plenty of spare wood there, so you've got all sorts of scraps for other things, other projects. 4mm here, this last one, and we've got the inner parts for the rudder and the keel or false keel and the prow there. So yeah, I mean, it's just stunning, isn't it? So what we've got left is the large format laser cut sheets, which are dealing with a lot of the structural parts of the ship, and so are the full length of it or part length of it. And with my camera on its widest, furthest back setting, on its tripod at its highest height, I still cannot get it in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take photographs of these, and we'll talk through them one photograph at a time. So this first one, it's MDF, it's 3mm, and you can see we've got structural parts here. I'm guessing these are not the main ones, these are supplementary ones. It builds up like a framework, which makes it very rigid and also keeps it straight. So a lot of wooden model ships have a centerpiece, and then they have the bulkheads coming off them, and you've got to square them up to make sure that your hull shape is correct. What this kit does is it's putting in more layers, so that it makes sure that everything's square for you and you don't have to do it yourself, which I think is fabulous. So these, I think, are the locking pins that go through here into several parts and hold it all into place, and it's got to also make sure that everything is perfectly aligned, because if you can't get it in, you've not aligned it. It's just really well engineered. Another sheet of structural parts now. I've got to be honest, I don't really recognise what a lot of these are, but these look like ribs and parts that build up to make the shape of the ribs there, and possibly bow formers. They look like they go on the stern side galleries, possibly. Yeah, but lots of structural parts nonetheless. 2mm MDF now, and we've got the big large section false decks. Gives you a real feel for how wide this bad boy is, and more structural parts. Yeah, I mean, again, even though we're at structural parts, the material quality is still high. We're not cutting corners anywhere. This is really good. So we're on 2mm MDF here, and we can see that we've got the jigs for building up all the ship's boats here. So these frames come out, slot into those places, and then you plank around them, and then you lift them off. So all of this doesn't get kept, it's all sacrificial. But you know, we've got 2, 4, 5 ship's boats there to do, so huge amount of work.
but look stunning if you can pull them off. And then we've got some formers and beams that won't be seen, and shaped parts that we're going to end up facing off with some of the laser cut pair that we've already seen. Next we've got 0.8mm ply, which we've got our decks on. So you put these two together, that's your whole deck done. There's pros and cons to doing this. Certainly it's significantly quicker than planking it with individual planks, and things like the joggling at the bow where the planks are terminating into the margin plank is going to be awful lot neater, and for many people it's not possible to do that. You know, there's a lot of experience needed to pull that off. But the downside to doing it like this is that you can see the wood grain through it, and that detracts a little bit for me. It doesn't bother some people, but these are, you know, you've got to take a view. How much of this deck am I going to see once I've got cannons on it and stuff like that? And there's little tricks you can do, like putting buckets or rope wheels and things like that on to break it up so it's less obvious. Personally, I really like it, and the laser cutting has left us a dark line like proper corking, so I think it looks relatively authentic. Despite that, there's no real way of getting around that, to be honest, when you're taking it from a complete sheet. So I think the quality's good. Some people might want to darken it and make it look a little bit more oak-like. There's lots of potential here, depending on your ability and your time. So more decking. We've got the upper decks here, and you can see where the cutouts are, so the areas you're going to be able to see the stove and into the stern galleries there, the cabins. And then we've got that lower section of deck that goes right at the lowest part of visible decks, which is why it's only a small section. So you do have the option to plank, and you do have the option to put in these pre-lasered planking, and you know, the same comments apply as from the last sheet. Our next sheet, again MDF, is 4mm wide, and this is our main frame component. So we've got the frame there that everything's going to hang off, and everything ultimately springs out of this centre core piece. And you can see we've got some at the top there. You've got a couple of longer, thinner pieces which will go in out on the outside edges to keep everything straight and in place. So lots and lots of lovely parts, but all engineered to make things as correct as possible. So the fact that they've engineered in the ability of keeping it square, which causes people problems, particularly people who've only got 2 or 3 kits under their belt. This is a fantastic way forward. Quite often what you do is drill holes in and put some dowel in, and this negates having to do that. Sticking with the 4mm MDF, we've now got some of the bulkheads, and you can see how intricate they are. There's quite complex construction given the size of the model, so lots of parts, some big beams there that ultimately won't be seen, supporting various things. So yeah, more bulkheads and associated parts, including parts for the building jig that the hull will rest on while you're building it. Again, 4mm MDF. Then our final sheet of parts, again 4mm MDF, and the ends for the build cradle. I just called it a jig, it's a cradle. So yeah, and that completes all the parts. So let's see what we think. So there we have it, the Indefatigable from Vanguard models. What is my first impression? Right, okay, let's go right back to the beginning. So packaging, really, really good. It comes in a very sturdy box to store all that those parts in, and then that comes in a sturdy shipper. Everything's bubble wrapped. So yeah, the only comment I'd say about the packaging is if you're storing it, then take all that tape off. It's cost effective for the manufacturer, but for long-term storage, you don't want all that tape adhesive sinking into your wood. So do take it off, and bear in mind if you're building it straight away, it's going to be some time before you get to some of those masts and yards, and so you might want to think about repacking the dowels and things for the same reason. So that's our packaging, all good. Then we move on to the instructions. They're beautiful, they're clear, step by step, full colour, all sorts of little details in there. Very, very nicely done. The plans are really, really clear, comprehensive. I mean, there's nothing left out. There's everything you need in there to build it. There isn't even assumptions of an ability to build a kit. And even though it says at the start this isn't for a beginner, they are giving you lots and lots of information. So yeah, instructions are completely brilliant. I love them. Then you've got the parts themselves. So the wood is all high quality. There was no knots or things that might cause weaknesses or snapping. It's all very nicely done. The lasering is high quality. You've not got lots of splintered wood and stuff like that. So really, really nice, nicely done. It's very prefabricated compared to a lot of kits, which personally I like. Means construction is going to be more precise, more enjoyable, and certainly quicker. And then when we think about the other parts, there's lots and lots of 3D printed parts, widely accepted as much more accurate than cast metal parts. So yeah, very nicely done. And then you've got things like the clear stand, which doesn't detract from the ship, and you're not having to compromise the structure of the ship to put it on pedestals, but of course you still can if you wish to. The addition of being able to furnish the cabin and do things in the cabin is great. It allows you to do more with that if you wish, painting figures and stuff like that. And then of course separately you can buy more figures if you want. So I think the kit all in all is beautifully engineered, well thought through, high quality materials, and it's just stunning. It's also a subject matter that many of us love, that we're familiar with through Hornblower, whether it be the books or the TV series or both. So for people who are interested in that period, then it's a must-have kit in many ways. I think it's stunning, and I think it's well thought through, and I cannot wait to build it. But I am not quite ready to build it. It's above my ability, if I'm honest, right now. So something for the future. But I've got it, and it's mine, and it's not going anywhere. And when I'm ready, I'll be able to just get going with it. So it's a pretty heavy piece of kit, so be careful when you're handling it. We've put it in storage now, and it's nice and safe. So just be mindful that if you've got a bad back or something like that, you might want two people to be able to lift it. But it's just a lovely kit. So I hope that was interesting and that you've enjoyed that voyage. I know it was a very long video, but I wanted to do it in one piece, and hopefully you enjoyed that. You now know what you get for your money and understand what huge value you get There's a lot of hours included in building a ship model of this complexity. So you absolutely, when you think about the price of other things, you absolutely are getting your time back with that money. It's worth every penny. So there you go. You now know what you get. I look forward to seeing you in my next first impressions, or on one of my wooden builds. Thanks for looking in. You enjoy your modelling, and I'll see you very soon. Bye for now. Please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't done so. It's free, and that way you won't miss my first impressions, my tool reviews, my product reviews, and any of my builds, including wooden model kits as well as plastic. It's all free, and if you'd like to support the channel, you can hit my PayPal link in the text below. Every pound goes straight into the channel to keep the cameras rolling and to do more fun stuff for you to watch.